feel the spheres. They're all spheres, variations of spheres. Okay. And you feel confident that it's set pretty much in the same place? Do you feel confident about the size of your square? Did you measure your square this time?
No.
Okay. We don't want to fall in the same hole twice, do we?
Okay, so you want me to do that. That's 4. So we need to extend this. That's 4. Oh, this is the one that needs to get extended. Just to look at it.
Okay, so it can be a square, but are the objects relating to the 4 edges of the picture plane in the same way as in your first 2?
So I should have looked at them because I made them a little too small. I think.
Right. So every time we do it, we learn from what we did before.
Okay. So can I do it again here?
No, just alter it. Just alter it. This is
Just do what?
Alter it. It's charcoal.
Alter it?
Yeah, it's charcoal.
Can I
Just that's why we use charcoal, because it's so flexible. All right. So you see what we're doing? We're building one on the other. If we measured and we made certain we had a square in number 2, then we want to do it for this too, and then we'll know where to put the objects that touch or nearly touch the 4 sides.
Okay. That's pretty good. I got 4 inches exactly
Good. Okay.
on all but 2 sides of that.
There you go.
It's just working in science and math all these years, that's all. Okay. So, lines
Yeah.
again.
Spheres. And this time be careful to see where they sit in relation to the edges of the picture plane. There's a tension. If they're touching, it's one feeling of tension. If they're half an inch away, it's another. Because you know that there will be some paint in between there. There might be a color, there might be texture, there might be a value change, contrast. It's important. Is the lemon on the far right touching the right side of the picture plane? In your photograph?
No, not in the photograph. But in my picture
but
here,
it is where you have it, yes.
Yeah.
So do what you have, because that's what we're working from. And you also have your tabletop line that will move the eye in. Okay, so every time you do this, you get a little more accustomed to it, a little freer, a little less pressured. Okay. So you're nicely allowing for the negative spaces in the bowl. The space is not taken up by fruit. Do you see those? There's that nice space on the top right. There's a space underneath the 2 lemons inside. And then the nice space, kind of analogous to the one on the right on the inside, where the pears. How much space is there between the pear and the bowl on the left?
Between the pear and the bowl on
The inside of the bowl.
well, from where I'm sitting, it looks to be close to that. Now, yeah, it looks right.
Okay, so the pear is not touching the bowl at all?
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay.
It's about like
All right, so can you see the difference between the second one and the third one? One is pulling out forms and light, and one is using line, but we're affecting the same thing. We're aiming to get to know this picture. Now what we'll do is find out how close we really are in the proportions that we put out there. So what is your referent?
For which?
For the whole picture, for the third picture. What object will be your referent?
What I've been using is the bowl and where it's positioned.
Okay, well that's just to get it on the canvas, but now to measure one thing against the other.
Oh, size-wise?
Yeah. Use your apple.
It's
the one thing that you can see the whole thing of.
Okay.
And it's a medium size. You know, it's a workable size. So let's look at the apple in relation to itself. Is the apple taller than it is wide, or the other way around? Measure
it's a little bit taller.
Measure it.
Measure it where?
With your hands.
Here?
Space. Yeah. Measure up. Put your arm out straight.
Wait, what? Okay.
Use your pencil or use a stick or something, but.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a little, not much, but just a tiny bit taller.
All right.
than this.
So what do you have on yours? Measure yours on your board.
Measure it. It looks to
No,
be
well, just measure it with your stick. You don't
Oh.
have to use a ruler. Just measure.
like this.
Put it
Same
on.
thing?
No, put your pencil on the paper
Oh,
from one side to the other. Put your thumbnail on the right side.
yeah. It's no, it's a little bit. It's not as long as it should be.
Okay, so that's measuring in space and relating it to what's there and editing. This is your drawing and editing phase.
Okay.
Measuring, drawing, editing. Measure, draw, edit. Measure, edit. Okay. So take that measurement, the height or the width of your apple, and compare it to other things in there. Also ask yourself the positioning. The
Spatial.
line, well, the line that comes out on the right side of your apple, that comes, that is the bottom part of that lemon on the right, is it hitting the apple in the right place?
Really close. It's right about here.
Okay,
But I was making it a circle. Now, if I do
right,
that,
this
it'd
is
be close.
editing.
Yeah.
This is what we're up to.
Oh, so I'm allowed to do that on this, or I should be doing this new here.
No, do it on number 3. We're still on number
Oh, okay.
3.
Oh, alrighty.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I can do this. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
Okay, constantly measuring.
Okay.
And not just eyeballing. This is where you do your measuring. You don't want to have to measure in paint. You do your measuring now. Okay. And how wide is the lemon from what you can see on the far end of that lemon that comes to a point to the right side? How does that compare to the apple? How much of the lemon can you see behind that apple?
That's about right.
Okay.
I got it right.
Okay. So the next fruit in the thing.
Mhm.
Where does it hit the fruit next to it? Is that the lemon hitting an apple?
It actually is doing well. It's this jar that needs to come.
Okay, okay. And the
there.
bowl hits the apple. All right. Now that you're down there on the tabletop, check and see whether the bottom of your bowl and the bottom of your apple and the bottom of your lemon, if you can see the bottom, are in the right place, because that will give you your illusion of depth.
Mhm.
And where are your shadows? The shadows are as important as the apple and lemons to the composition, so we can't forget them. We're thinking in terms of line here. We're not doing values.
Oh, okay. I'm
Just
sorry.
doing lines. So
Okay.
go around, outline those for me. Outline them for the shape that they are, just their shapes. There you go. Okay? Ask only so much of each little picture. Okay? All right, so it's starting to take on weight and volume, isn't it? Okay? Let's measure the spaces inside the bowl, you know, against the apple, measure the other lemons. Let's see how we're doing. Because if we start with one and we move across the picture, one's going to relate to the other, to the other, to the other. And we'll end up with the right space at the end next to the left-hand side wall. All right, so you're comfortable with the measurements that you made? Have you made them by physically measuring or eyeballing?
I measured, I didn't do the pear that way. I need to do the pear. Because, I did the other two pieces.
Okay. Is your arm straight? If your arm isn't straight every time, you won't get the same measurement.
Doesn't make sense.
Donna, put your arm straight.
Oh, straight. I see what you're saying. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I got you now. Now that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I was saying.
Okay.
So these were the same width. This one and this one the same width.
Okay, so if you measure with your pencil or your charcoal on the paper, go back to the measurement of your apple.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Put your charcoal on your apple, on the paper.
I don't follow the here.
Yes, just measure the width of that.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I see what you're saying.
that's what you measured. Okay.
And see if I...
Now move it over to the pear.
Just a little bit
Your pear has some nice hips.
more. Too nice.
No, I feel like you're not giving your pear enough hips.
Oh, okay.
I feel like the hips on that pear are as broad as that apple.
Okay.
But measure and check.
Right there.
All right, measure from one side of the hips of the apple, the pear, and compare it to the apple.
Okay, I'm sorry. Do what now?
Measure your apple across the width, and then on the paper and then put it on your pear and see. You say they're about the same, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, now they are. Okay, you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Do I put the stem here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other stem too. Okay.
It's a little too thick.
All right, it's really starting to come together. We're feeling the spaces, we're feeling the tabletop. Background, we haven't done anything too. So for 1, 2, and 3, tell us what we did.
Okay, so first I did a contour, breaking up the space and showing the main shapes. And then I took those 3 pieces and replicated them to show that 3 major shapes.
Okay, so we're dealing with a puzzle now from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We're telling our brain we're making a puzzle and we're pulling the pieces out and analyzing them. Okay?
Okay.
Go ahead.
And then in the second one, I toned it to a mid-value and pulled out the forms with the eraser showing their placement, their size, and a little bit about lights and darks.
Okay.
I like it. I think it's ghostly and wonderful.
No, it's really
It reminds me of the
wonderful.
snowstorms that, what's his name, Manet did.
Oh,
Is it
you're right.
The snow stack.
Isn't it amazing what you can do with just a piece of dark
Yeah.
charred wood?
So then in number 3, I used lines to indicate the shape, size, and position of the objects with respect to each other and their size and position.
And how did you find out if they were the right size?
I had to extend my arm straight and then measure on the paper as well,
Okay.
respectively to each other.
Okay. Do you do that all the time?
I do some. Unfortunately, I rely on I do have kind of a knack for shape and size just because I used to have to do that a lot in science, on the board. So I've kind of developed
Yeah, you got
a
bit of an eye.
familiarity.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
bit of an eye.
familiarity because I had to. If I was drawing a machine that we were studying in physics, I had to
had to
be able to
rely.
do that. Yeah.
All right. Well,
So,
yeah, but this
so
is for a
unfortunately,
different
no, I
reason.
don't. The answer is no, I
No,
don't
you
always.
don't, because
I
you don't.
oftentimes rely on what I think is fairly accurate.
Okay, so what was fairly accurate on the board for science class may not be what we're looking for in painting, right?
True.
Okay, so will you now measure
Mm-hmm.
and check?
And I do measure.
because that is
you
what
know.
this stage is.
Yeah, I do some, but I don't do enough of that. True.
Okay, all right, so it's looking lovely. Let's move on.
Okay.
I'd like for you, once again, we're still thinking of the abstract shape. How much of a work of art is abstract in the process?
What do you mean, how much of a work?
How much? What percentage?
Oh, 95%.
80.
Oh, 80.
80.
I knew that. 80.
Yeah. 80%, okay? So we are very much in the beginning and we're very much in the abstract phase. So we're constantly going back to the structure, the abstract structure. So on number 4, which you've already gotten your ground done, I want you to, one more time, put the contour line in, top and bottom contour lines.
Like number 1?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You've done it now 3 times.
Okay.
Actually, you've done it more because you did your little puzzle pieces on the side. Okay. So you have a feeling of how the line moves, how close it comes to the sides and the top and the bottom, right? This is what getting in there and walking around and introducing yourself to the space involves. And it's what you need to do because you're going to be in there with paint and value and temperature and key and all kinds of other stuff. And what you don't want to have to worry about is placement. You don't want to have to move something in the middle of a painting. So that's why we do these thumbnails. We solve these problems now. Okay. Just the top and the bottom. I don't want you to
Okay.
okay, so wipe out the top of the apple. All right. Okay. Now I want you to squint your eyes, look at the still life, and I want you to go into this drawing with just light and dark, just black and white. Think of it this way: if it's not light, it's dark, and if it's not dark, it's light. Does that make sense?
Just light and dark, just two values, is that what you mean?
I'm not talking about defining the form. I'm talking about
Just light and dark.
just light and dark.
Okay, alrighty.
What do you
Gotcha.
see as the light and dark? And I don't want midtones. I want light and dark. Okay, good. So you're showing me the darks that you see, and that's in the local color and also in the shadows, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about the apple?
It's getting there.
Oh, okay. It's the shape of the darks.
Oh, that's a mid, so don't you want just darks.
I want just darks and lights.
I think that's all I see that's dark.
Okay.
It's close to that here, but not really. A little bit here, not really. It's almost more, it's a little under dark.
All right. So where are your lights? Okay. All right. So what you're doing is by finding the light and finding the dark, you're leaving the midtone.
Oh, okay.
All right. And what about the tabletop? How light is light on the tabletop? That's reflecting light back up onto your object, so it's important light. All right, I'd like for you to take your artist eye and look at number 3. In this image in number 3.
Alright.
Which would give you 3 values. You should have a light, a dark, and a midtone. And how does yours look compared to that? Because what you have there, once you pulled out the lights, okay,
It's not too bad.
it's good. Doesn't that look good?
It's not too bad at all.
Yeah. Just for myself, I would take my finger and smear in the
The dark apple?
No,
Oh, the
the midtone.
midtones?
so that you don't feel so much light in it, especially the background. Yeah, just smooth it out. Make it more. If it were to be even more of a midtone, looking at the midtone on artist's eye and thinking of the midtone on your new palette, it's darker than that, isn't it? The midtone. So why don't you put a little more charcoal on your background and in all your midtones. Okay, just a little, so that it is a true midtone and it doesn't have light speckles in it. There you go, much better. All right, now that midtone goes into the bowl. You can see through it. It goes into the lemon on the right, goes onto the table. The lemon's on the left. All right. So this is very definitely 3 values, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
However, do you remember what it was that I asked you for?
2.
I asked you for 2 values. So you gave me a dark. You already had the midtone. So then to find another one, you put the light in. So you ended up with 3. So I'd like for you to make another square. Put your midtone in.
So go to another page.
Mm-hmm. Remember, every time you do this, you're closer to doing a better painting.
Do I get to paint after this one?
Almost. Yeah, put some tape. There you go.
Almost. No.
That'll work. Just push it in.
That's okay. All right. So again, is this the last one, or do I need
No,
2
you're
more?
gonna do 2 more.
2